Welcome to the channel Misty Gaming. My name is Misty and you're watching my show. Today we are going to be looking at Blizzard's new trading card game Hearthstone. Hearthstone is currently in closed beta at the moment, and therefore only the lucky few have been able to get access to it either through a beta invite sent out from Blizzard themselves or by winning a competition. I thankfully was one of the lucky ones, and that means I can bring you an inside look at the closed beta and hopefully temper your desires right before the new open beta comes out next month. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. First thing we're going to have a look at is the settings menu, because I know a lot of people seem to like that. Unfortunately, there's not much to see here, as you've got your basic resolution settings, volume sliders. Thankfully, there's a split slider for the volume, but there could have been more detail here, and your generic quality slider. I'm hoping in the open beta or perhaps in the full release there'll be a better selection of items here to change your quality. But that being said, the game isn't very graphic intensive and doesn't really need to be customized all that much. But it's always nice to have the option. Other than that, we're going to have a look at the basic premise of how the game is played, and I'll show off some of the classes, and then later on we'll go into a gameplay. So, as you can see from the screen here, we have three types of gameplay mode. Practice mode is against bots, as you can see in the little information box that's popped up there. Play lets you play against opponents of equal skill, which basically is a ranking or league system. You earn points as you win matches. As far as I'm aware, you don't lose points by losing matches. So it's more of a grind to get a high rating rather than simple basis of skill. So I don't tend to play that all that often, but it is nice to test out certain decks in there. Arena mode is what's drawn me to this game the most. In Arena mode, you get given 3 random champions to pick from. You then pick a single one of those and enter a battle against other opponents. The big draw to me for this is that you get random cards, so you will get to choose one of 3 cards, and you will do this 30 times until you have a complete selection of 30 cards that are all randomly chosen for you out of the 3 choices you get every time. This means that you never know what deck you're going to get, and sometimes you can get a deck that is completely terrible in every way, and you'll end up winning 5 or 6 games in a row. Other times you'll get a deck that you think is fantastic, and then end up failing terribly with it because you don't know how to use certain cards in it. But that's the best part of it. You get to learn each class quicker than you would normally, as you have to be forced into them and used in difficult situations, which makes you learn much faster. Now, what we're going to do is go into a practice mode quickly and just have a look at all the character types you can use. As you can see here, we've got a warrior, shaman, rogue, paladin, hunter, druid, warlock, mage, and priest. My favorite at the moment is priest, although I haven't had very much luck with them, oddly enough. Normally you end up liking the thing you do well with, but I'm a sucker for a priest because I used to play one when I was playing World of Warcraft. Now, each of these champions has a specific skill. As you see, the warrior gains armor up, so they gain 2 armor. The armor replaces his life. The shaman gets totemic call, summons a random totem, 1 of 4 I believe. You get the idea. Each champion has a specific skill that costs a certain number of mana to use and then gives them an effect. This makes every champion feel different, which keeps the game very fresh as you get a different experience with whichever champion you're using. Now, I've mentioned health and mana. I'll just give you a quick overview of what the basic gameplay is. You start a game, you will have 30 health, and your opponent will have 30 health. You will also have mana, which I will show you later on when we get into an actual gameplay. So, the 2 mana cost on these will be explained later on. Now, I'm going to go back out of this and show you the deck builder, because I'm sure some of you are interested to see the cards you can get and how to get them. As you can see, you've got all your different classes up top with all the cards you have. I don't have all that many at the moment, but I'm building my collection as I go. We're going to look at the priest ones just for a moment because I prefer the priest, as I've said. Now, as you can see, these have a white background, whereas the rogue has a black background, blue for shaman. These are color specific and therefore class specific, so only a priest can ever use cards with a white background like this. The golden cards are still specific, as this is a priest only spell, but golden cards are rare and have special animations for the card, which a lot of people find desirable, and I've seen a lot of people go out of their way to build an entire gold deck just for the sake of having the animations on them. I'm not like that, but I don't frown upon anyone who else does it. If it makes you happy, guys, go right ahead. I don't have all that many priest cards, unfortunately. A good thing you can do in this game, which some people have expressed a distaste for because it takes away from the whole trading card game sense, but you can actually disenchant these cards and then use the dust that is formed from the disenchanting to make a specific new card. So I'll show you that quickly now. We'll go in here and say I want Circle of Healing. It would cost me 40 dust to make it, or 5 dust if I already owned it and disenchanted it. Now, I'm not going to make it right now because it's not a very good card and I don't particularly want it. But that gives you a sense of how easy it is to pick up cards as you go. 40 dust, 400 dust for this one, sorry. Or 100 if you had them. So you don't build up dust massively fast, but you can get a decent amount if you play it consistently. I'm saving mine up at the moment to get the legendary card for the priest deck because it's always nice to have legendaries. Now, that's something I have to mention here. These crystals in the center of the cards tell you how rare the card is. White is uncommon, blue is rare, then you have purple for epic, and orange is a legendary. Now, just because a card is legendary doesn't mean it is more powerful. So if you're just starting out and you think, oh gosh, I have to have every legendary, it's not going to guarantee you a win. And therefore the game really isn't pay to win. That which is a very good thing, in fact, because pay to win is terrible and should never be allowed into a game. So now that we've seen that, we're going to drop out of that quickly. And we're going to go and have a quick game with my priest deck in the play mode. So I'm going to pick my priest 2. Yeah, we'll go with that one. And it's going to load us into a game. Just a quick tip for you guys. This loader here has a bunch of different names of opponents. They aren't real. You can only ever get worthy opponent. The rest of them are just little jokes from Blizzard. So, you know, read them, have a laugh, but you will never ever get anything other than worthy opponent. I spent ages looking for them and hoping I'd get someone different. Perhaps like the crazy Murloc, but I didn't. See, Wombat Warlocks, if only. So, here goes, learners from the game. We're against a mage, Jaina Proudmoore. Okay, so here's your starting hand. You get given 3 cards to start, or 4 if you were going second. I'm going first, so I only get 3. Now, the mana cost here is how much mana it'll cost you to play the card. And down here, you will gain mana. You will get 1 mana per turn up to a maximum cap of 10. So always a good thing to do is anything that's above 3, get rid of it. And click confirm, and it will give you new cards because you cannot play those early. Unfortunately, I got another 6 cost card and a 2 cost that isn't going to help me very much in the early game. And my first draw is terrible as well. So that is the downside of a priest. I'm going to throw out Mind Vision here, which gives me a copy of my opponent's card in his hand. And unfortunately, I drew another high cost card. So this could end quite quickly. But that does give me time to click over here and end my turn and talk more about the game. As I mentioned earlier, every opponent has 30 health. When your health reaches 0, it is game over and you die. It's unfortunate, but it has to happen. Here's your hero spells. Cost 2 mana to use. You can only use it once per turn. Mages lets you deal 1 damage to any target. A priest lets you heal 2 health to any target. Can be quite useful on high health minions. Now, I can't keep talking because I have to play, otherwise I get told off. I'm going to throw down the Acidic Swamp Ooze. This has a battle cry, so whenever the card is played, it causes an effect. Usually to your opponents, but sometimes it can do it to yourself or random enemies. This one destroys your opponent's weapon. So if the opponent had a weapon, they would equip it over here and be able to attack with their champion. Thankfully, mages don't get weapons, so I can play this card and not worry about wasting the battle cry. And that should give me some board control. Now, the more observant ones of you may notice over on the left-hand side here, as I'm playing things, they're appearing in a list that will scroll down. You can hover over it and it will tell you what happened on that turn or on that action and what it influenced. So if I attack someone, it'll show the Swamp Ooze. Then next to it, it would show what I hit. As you see, that rope coming across means I was taking too long on my turn, and when that hits 0, I will end my turn automatically, which we do not want to happen. So it's a good thing I ended the turn there. and we're going to wait to see what our opponent does. As you can see, the game itself is a very nice looking game, not graphically intense, but colourful and vibrant as you'd come to expect from a Blizzard game, which allows you to play the game on quite old machines without any graphic drops. I'm running this at a perfect 60 FPS even while recording. So if any of you were worried about perhaps older machines not working, don't have to worry about that. You can run it on almost anything. And you can click around the map and certain effects will happen. They're all for fun. Now, I played a card here which has a special effect written on it. Whenever a minion is healed, you draw a card. So, unfortunately, I have no minions damage to heal. So, I'm just going to cast heal on myself and end my turn there. Different minions have different effects. It's always good to read them. Taunt here, for example, when you play this card, the opponent has to attack this card or any other card with Taunt over everything else. So if I play this card, the mage here would not be able to attack my minions or me until this card died. Unfortunately, because it costs 6 mana, I have to wait for a minute to play it. Ah, there. My opponent just played the coin. If you go second, you get a coin given to you automatically on top of the cards already in your hand. That allows you then to give yourself an extra mana for that turn. This is always useful to make plays. For example, she drew a 4-cost card on a 3 mana pool, which allows her to get out a strong card, which is going to cause me problems. So instead of focusing it down, I'm going to ignore it for the minute and just deal extra damage and force him to attack me. And I'm going to heal that last bit of health up and end my turn there. Now, I'm still getting terrible cards for early game, but thankfully I've managed to come out with the early game without any damage, so I'm going to be pretty strong in the late game. That being said, I probably will still lose, because I'm terrible at this game, or just really unlucky. Now, what I got to speak out about this game is, it is very luck-based, and anyone who's used to playing trading card games will know this. The game will always be incredibly luck-based. That is just the nature of trading cards. Unfortunately there, he used a spell, Cone of Cold, to destroy my minions. It freezes the minion and deals damage, 2 damage in fact, to it and anything next to it. So he managed to clear my deck. Thankfully, here's a taunt card I mentioned earlier. As you see, the shield comes around it, forcing any monsters or spells to have to attack the taunt minion first. Very useful in keeping yourself alive. Now, I did mention this earlier. Some of you may have picked up on it, some of you haven't. As you can see here, the sword on the left with the yellow is the attack, and the little blood drop with the 5 is the health. So this minion has 3, well, had until it got turned into a sheep. Now it has 1 health, 1 attack, which isn't all that great. Oh, but I've got another taunt, so we'll play that one out, and we're just going to throw the sheep at her because, you know, flying sheep of death, always interesting. And heal myself again. Now, I'm not the best player in the world, but I find myself having success anyway. And that's what I think is the best part about this game over everything else, is it is easy to play. Although mages make it difficult when they constantly spam spells at you. But it is easy to play and enjoyable to play. Even when you are struggling to get a grip on the game, you can still make interesting plays and win matches that you didn't think you'd possibly be able to do, which has always been Blizzard's mantra, especially with World of Warcraft. Simplify everything so everybody can enjoy it, and that's what they've done here. They've taken out a lot of annoying mechanics from other trading card games and put in much simpler and easy to use ones so that people can enjoy this game no matter what their skill level. Now, I'm unfortunately going to have to sacrifice this card because I don't want him to constantly have that card available to him because it's done a lot of damage to me already. So, we have board control, but it's very minor, and we're going to have to wait and see what our opponent does now because, oh, good, it's another Ogre Magi, fantastic. I just got rid of him, and he's brought it back. I haven't mentioned before, it's another spell effect. This has spell damage +1. So spell damage +1 means that any spells cast get an extra damage on them. So, for example, if earlier he cast Blizzard, which normally does 2 damage, I believe, it actually then did 3, which allowed him to clear the board. I don't have anything to instantly deal with this Magi, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is throw out this card, which gives me draw card on Battlecry. As I said earlier, Battlecry is an effect that happens when you play the card. So it'll give me an extra card. Oh, and thankfully it's another taunt. So I'll play that, and I will take a swing and see what the secret is. Secrets, in case you didn't know, are special cards that, when played, sit lying over your champion and activate when a particular action happens. In this case, when I attack the opponent, they gain 7 armor. There are other ones, for example, they could have been when I attack the opponent, it blows up everything on my side of the board, which isn't all that fun. But such is the nature of the game, you never know what you're going to get with a trading card game. There is luck everywhere, and you just have to be lucky. Oh, and there's another spell. If you play this game and you play against a mage, get used to it. Spells are everywhere. I've seen mages have nothing but spells and win because of it. So, you're probably better off being happy and knowing that that's going to happen and just let it happen. Because you don't have much choice in the matter, I'm afraid. Now, if the mage is holding a Pyroblast, I could well be dead here. They don't seem to be, otherwise he would have played it already, I think. Oh, but another spell. Surprise, surprise. And there goes more monsters. You may be able to hear my distaste for mages. There's a Fire Blast to put me at 2 health. And I'm dead. Yeah, I'm dead. So, we're going to concede that one. If we click down here, we can click concede and end the game. First of all, let's be a mana bear and say well played. End the game. And that's that. Unfortunately, mages are very hard to beat without getting lucky on certain draws. And I just wasn't lucky, folks. Well, that's going to be the end of it today. My name is Misty. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.